Update on the coronavirus. A little different than my last documentary on it. A form of the coronavirus first emerged in Saudi Arabia in 2012, and we call that MERS. Except this is very fast-moving, unlike the flu. Flu is a little slower moving than this particular coronavirus. It's called corona because under a microscope, the virus looks like it has a crown around it. Now, the difference with this compared to the regular flu is if you catch it and recover from it, you can catch it again. The normal flu, you build up immunities to it, and you can't catch that particular strain of flu again. Some people have described it kind of like a cold as well. And of course, it hits infants, children, the elderly, people with asthma, people with heart disease, compromised immune systems, and diabetes. But it seems that the doctor that first sounded the alarm on it was very young. He was 33 years old, and he died from it. But he was silenced by the government. The government didn't want anybody to know at all that this was sweeping through their country. Unfortunately, the way they were taking care of it was there were some people that they were diagnosed, actually taking samples, fluids from the people, and diagnosed, seeing that, yes, they have the coronavirus, seeing that under a microscope. But other people, a clinical diagnosis, well, you could have a cold, it could be something else, and they basically just let the people go without treating them at all. And this helped the virus spread like wildfire. Also, in that particular part of China, that's a transportation center. People are coming and going like crazy. So, but the really interesting thing is that in July of 2019, see, there's a place called the NML, and that's a lab in Canada that houses viruses. And for some reason, they were sending viruses to China. Sorry, my dog barked. So sometimes you'll see edits, and sometimes it's the dog barking, or if my asthma's acting up, I have to shut it off. But that's usually the reason why sometimes you'll see it edit. In March of 2019, there was a shipment of viruses from the NML. That is a lab that is in Canada that grows viruses. And for some reason, a shipment of these viruses ended up in China. And so a group of researchers from China were stealing viruses from Canada's NML, and corona was among them. Interesting to note that the SARS epidemic, there is a virus warfare lab in the Hualien province that let go. Somehow SARS escaped from that lab. This wasn't something that grew organically. This was something that somehow was leaked from this lab. In a National Defense Report, James Madsen, lead clinical consultant and lead clinical laboratory director, said that China is the leader of biological chemical weapons. The question is why Canada is sending China viruses. Why is this? In May 15 of 2018, Johns Hopkins performed a tabletop bioweapons test with the Nipah virus, the idea of it originating in Germany and Venezuela. Within a year, 150 million people were dead of this Nipah virus, with 15 million in the United States alone. No cure for the Nipah virus exists to this day, as there's no cure for the coronavirus. There's a husband and wife that went to work for this Canadian laboratory that grows these viruses. And it was after they went to work there that these viruses kind of were stolen from this lab. There was a group of agents, Chinese agents, posing as students that went there and took the virus. So basically the question is, was this purposely released? How many viruses have been shipped from 2006 to 2018? Was this intentionally released? Now, there's a theory that China, this could be a massive campaign for China to make money. Everything is about mass producing goods in China, and they don't follow any ecological rules or rules against pollution. They dump poisons in all their waters. That's why you should never eat shrimp from there. They're the ones, 6 rivers in China and 2 in Africa, are the ones that are responsible for these islands of plastic in the water. It's not America because it's against the law here. It's not against the law there, but we can't condemn them. We can only keep raising the taxes and keep making climate deniers feel awful about themselves. When there's no regulations for anything in these countries, it's all about mass producing as fast and as much as possible. Who cares about polluting the environment in any way, shape, or form? Now, the idea might be, because they're mass producing everything at such an inexpensive cost. That's why all our businesses moved from America, because of the heavy regulations, ridiculous amount of regulations and taxes, that they could produce the same goods in China and pay the workers basically nothing. It's about making a tremendous amount of money, and China capitalized on making everything that you look around your room, you look around your house, mostly everything is made in China. That's why there wouldn't be, thinking that there might be a World War III and be started in China is kind of ridiculous. It would destroy the economies of the entire world, and the country would not become prosperous if you destroy the economies of other countries because they can't buy your goods. So China wouldn't be doing that. What they would do is they would monopolize, as they did with unfair trade practices, the industries so they could make as much money as possible. And of course, not have to clean up the environment. But if they had a virus that somehow got leaked in some other country, who knows where, maybe some English-speaking country, they let that virus go, and they are the only ones that have the cure. They are the only ones with the cure. So that cure, if it's going to cost the lives of hundreds of millions of people, possibly billions, about 7 billion people on this planet, so we could run into the billions, definitely. Can you imagine how expensive that cure, they could sell that cure for? That's probably what they were doing. Because I don't think their intention is they want to keep selling to us. So if you let something out, and then there's the potential of a lot of people dying, even though a segment of people, but you have to scare them. You have to let a segment of them die to scare everybody. You scare them into buying the cure. because they have to buy the cure. We have no choice, or else everybody's going to get this virus, and massive amounts of people could die. And you keep catching this virus, and your body doesn't build up immunities to it. This will go on forever and ever and ever. Now, and another thing, it could be that, right before this was let out and people were getting sick, and unfortunately there's a huge number of people in China getting sick on this virus, and they're not letting the right number out because it seems like it's spreading faster in South Korea than it is in China. So the only way we're going to really know about this virus and how fast it spreads and how many people it actually kills is what we can gather from South Korea. Now, Italy has a problem. About 200 people have it in Italy, and they don't know where they got it from. They don't know who they caught it from. These viruses, it's very easy. You can't necessarily trace it back. Oh, that particular person, they just came back from China. Ah, well, there you go. Must be. If you get off the plane and you just pass by someone, and even if you don't feel sick at all, and let's say you laughed really hard, moisture pockets left your mouth a few feet away, and somebody just walks past you. They don't know you've just been to China. They don't know you at all whatsoever, but they just happened to pass through those vapors and they caught it. And that's a way somebody can catch it, and it can spread like wildfire. So far, I don't think anybody has died in Italy yet. But the problem is, you've got the EU. You see, this is the problem when you have no borders. When there were borders, you could seal your border. You could seal your borders from diseases coming into your country. And you can seal your borders to keep the virus contained in your country. But because there are no borders, it's borderless. This could take down all of Europe. You see, there's a reason for borders. It's not necessarily to make people prisoners in any way. It also contains violence too, or you close your borders, say that country, violence is spread all, that's crazy. Let's close our borders, we're not going to let these people in. You can protect the people of your country if you have borders. And this is the reason why you have locks on your house. To prevent people from walking in and raping your daughter at night or stealing your goods. And then you get up in the morning and you have nothing left. There's reasons why you have borders and you have locks. So right now there's about 35 people in America with this virus. And it looks like the Dow dropped 1,000 points because of trade. Everyone is afraid. Because when you make one country, that's why goods and services, I knew this was going to happen. Because China's a communist country. Anything could happen there. Look at how they make their goods. Look at how they're polluting their environment. Look at how they're killing their own people. You're dependent for all your goods on this country that is mistreating its own people and its environment. And every time they make something, you climate whatever people, every time they make something, the poisons are going off into the environment. They don't do anything about carbon emissions because they're not following anything. And Trump is the leader, since he's been in office, has lowered carbon emissions lower than any country on this planet. He's the one, and he didn't sign that damn accord because it was going to cost us more money. We can lower emissions without paying all this money. But China doesn't follow anything. But no, Obama wanted everything, and all these other presidents want everything made in China because it's cheap. And then when something like this happens, the markets fall because you're dependent on this country to make everything for you. We have to start, if you care about travel, even plane travel, all that stuff, carbon emissions, if it's made in your own country, then it's not going to take that long to get to you. If each state is basically self-support, like it used to be, mom and pop shops, there used to be factories all over your town, or in walking distance even, producing all these goods. But now, since everything is made out of the country, then you have to be dependent on transportation to get these items all over the world. And if something happens to that country, if people all get sick from this virus because they're actually stealing viruses and hoping to make a cure so they can make a killing on it, literally. Even if they're not doing something like this, something could happen, some natural disaster could happen, and you're unable to get all the goods, all the crap that we buy on Amazon, all that stuff that's made so incredibly cheap. You're not able to get anything, and everybody comes to a standstill. We have to start making more things in America, in our towns, be more self-reliant as a country. And Trump is trying to do that. Bernie wants to turn it communist, basically, and only makes just so many. And he's the one at the top with all the money. He looks awful, but that doesn't mean he's poor, because he's not poor. Now, in the description box below, there's a link to some ways you can, by breathing and strengthening your intestinal bacteria, that you can help boost your immune system. Just little things if you want to try them. It's always good to boost your immune system and keep on the probiotics. Kimchi, that cabbage stuff, has probiotics. Yogurt, make sure there's live cultures in it, or take it in pill form. All that is good. Lots of garlic is always good, and onions are always good. And vitamins. So keep yourself healthy, keep yourself strong, and let's keep making this country more prosperous and great for all of us. All the diverseness that we are. Good night, everyone.